This is the KBO Oasis, a low-cost cruiser electric bike that rides comfortably, looks stylish, and is meant to take you up to 55 miles on a single battery charge. You'll be interested to see what this bike can do, so keep it right here. So before we jump in and talk about the KBO Oasis, please remember to click the like and subscribe here on our channel if you like our review. Now back to the review. So let's take a look at this bike from KBO. The Oasis is an entry-level cruiser e-bike currently priced at under $1,200. I rode this bike over 99 miles and I got to know this bike really well. So let's go over the components. First, it uses KBO's own 48-volt 500-watt motor featuring a 5-level pedal assist system and a throttle to help you go up to 20 miles per hour. That makes this a Class 2 e-bike. To manage power output from the motor, it uses a cadence sensor. Electricity for the motor and display and lights come from the 48-volt 720 watt-hour battery that's meant to take you up to 55 miles on a single charge. To change gears, the Oasis uses the Shimano Tourney 7-speed shifter, and that gearing uses Shimano's Altus 14 to 28 tooth cassette. The pedals use 170mm cranks to turn that 44 tooth chainring. The brake system is the Taboka MD320. It's a mechanical disc brake system, so it uses cables instead of hydraulic lines to activate the 180mm rotor on the front wheel and the 203mm rotor on the rear wheel. For steering, this bike uses a 660mm wide mustache style handlebar, and it's got faux leather grips. Now it's mounted to an adjustable stem that helps you raise, lower, and move the handlebar forward and back to give you the right amount of reach. The saddle, it's the generic 11-inch wide and it's thickly padded. And I gotta say, for a stock seat, the padding was kind to my tush as I rode that 99 miles. Now the tires, 26-inch by 3-inch, and have a smooth road tread that works best on dry pavement. So don't get any ideas that this bike is for riding in the dirt or snow. If you need to carry cargo, there's a rear rack that comes with this bike too. It has a 55-pound capacity, which is more than enough for carrying cargo. The Oasis weighs 72.85 pounds, and that's including the battery. The frame, 6061 aluminum alloy, and it has a 16.5-inch seat post tube to make it a medium-sized bike. It has two frame designs. You've got the high step here that's got the 33-inch step over. That makes it best for riders who are about 6 foot tall like me to 6'4", but they also have a step-through model, and that's best for riders who are 6 foot high all the way down to 5'4". So there's an overview on the key components on the Oasis. For more details, check out our written review by clicking the link below. The Oasis uses a mechanical brake system. That means it relies on a cable to help it stop. This bike's average stopping distance from a 20-mile-per-hour stop was 23 feet and 3 inches. And that's pretty good for a cruiser, especially considering these brakes are made by a relatively unknown company called Taboka. The Taboka MD320 brake system, it uses 180mm rotor on the front, 203mm rotor on the back. It's a curious setup. Typically you see the larger rotor in the front and the smaller one in the rear, but the results were good. We don't have a lot of experience with Taboka brakes. Where they are more off-brand, it likely helped KBO manage costs on this bike. Now this is neither a slam on KBO or the brake company, as we saw good performance results. But for now, we can't speak to how these brakes will work in the long haul, and if you'll have to get maintenance done on them sooner or later than most. The speed test tells us how fast the motor will take you at each level of the pedal assist system, also known as the PAS. Discovering this right at the onset is important for safety, so we know what to expect, and for testing, so we know the bike's limits. Let's take a look at how things went on our test course. Okay, going to talk about the pedal assist speeds at each of the PAS levels, 1 through 5 on this bike. So right now we're pedaling it in 7th gear with 0 power assist, and we're doing just about 8 miles an hour. So now we want pedal assist, so we click into PAS 1 and listen. I clicked it on, but the motor didn't go on. I'm pedaling it at over 9 miles an hour right now, but pedal assist 1, looks like it only goes up to about 8 miles an hour for really slow riding. So right now we're really pedaling mostly with my pedaling, and we're doing about probably 9.9 in PAS 1. Now let's go to PAS 2. Slight pickup there, not a whole lot. This thing doesn't want to go fast, and it looks like it stopped at 10 miles an hour. So it looks like PAS goes up to 10 miles an hour. Now we're going to click up to PAS 3. All right, so I got some life there. And as you can see, it's taking us all the way to 14 miles an hour. So 8 miles an hour, 10 miles an hour, 14 miles an hour at number 3. Now we'll go to PAS 4. And another slight pickup of speed there. I'm in the top gear and I'm pedaling at PAS 4. And okay, so we hit about 16, now we're at 17. Okay, so it's taken a while, but it's finally picked up. We're in the 16 to 17 range. I think topped out about 17.4. Now we'll go into number 5, PAS 5. And I'm starting to ghost pedal now, where it feels like my pedaling's not really doing too much. So speed up my pedaling. And PAS 5, we're at about 19.6. So that looks like that's about up. We're at 20. Okay, so we got to 20.1 in PAS 5. So those are the PAS speeds on this bike. Time now for the throttle test on the KBO Oasis. How many seconds from 0 to top speed? Hopefully 20 miles per hour. Okay, ready, set, go. A decent pickup there. We're already at 8, 9, 11, 16, 17, 20. All right, 20.6 miles an hour. Pretty good throttle there. Now, when I said this bike rides comfortably, I wasn't talking about pedaling it with the motor turned off. On this part of our speed test, I only got the Oasis up to 8.1 miles per hour with my basic non-exertive pedaling. The two main things that make this bike harder to pedal are its weight, 72.8 pounds, because it's a heavy bike. The other issue, the 3-inch wide tires. They create more resistance that requires me to pedal harder. Switching on the pedal assist, PAS 1, only got me up to 9 miles per hour. I was expecting it to take me to at least 10 miles per hour in PAS 1. PAS 2 wasn't much better. It only took me up to 10.1 miles per hour. PAS 3 was better. It reached a top speed of 14.1 miles per hour. PAS 4 kept it going, taking me to 17.4 miles per hour. And finally, PAS 5 topped out at 20.1 miles per hour. We feel PAS 1 and PAS 2 don't give riders the kind of speed they are looking for. To get a more balanced speed range, we'd like to see KBO change up so PAS 1 can easily reach 10 miles per hour and PAS 2 reach 12 miles per hour. The current speeds limit what you can do on this bike. And since cruising centers around having an easy and enjoyable ride, it seems the Oasis falls a little short of doing that in the lower PAS levels. Fortunately, PAS 3 and above worked okay in getting me to the speeds that I was expecting, and they should work well for you too. We put the Oasis to the test to see if this bike could make KBO's claim that it can go 30 to 55 miles on a single charge. Now, a range test is important because it tells us how far we can count on the battery taking us. In our first range test, I rode this bike 56.82 miles, and that was using PAS 3 as the minimum pedal assist level. That's a good result and confirmed that KBO was right in their claim that this bike can go at least 55 miles on a single charge. Now, if you're wondering why I didn't use PAS 1 or 2 on this test, it's because we feel like the first two are too slow for most riders, and we would bet most would agree with us that PAS 3 is the more practical, lowest setting for riding. In our second range test, I used maximum PAS available, which was PAS 5, and the battery had enough juice to carry me 33.86 miles. KBO said the Oasis should go at least 30 miles, and this bike proved them right. Overall, this is a good result, and the Oasis did well in the range department. That 500 watt motor and 720 watt hour battery, they worked together and they really took care of business. Hills can be a real pain when riding a bike, which is one reason riders switch to an e-bike. Cruiser e-bikes are meant to make your ride simpler and more comfortable. So it makes sense to expect your cruiser to get you up some gnarly hills, right? Let's now switch over to Justin, our hill climbing test rider, and see how the Oasis did in getting him to the top of Southwest Utah's infamous Hellhole Trail.
Okay, so here we are on the KBO doing the throttle test on this rear hub motor. We'll see how it does out of the gate. I will say I'm not quite sure if it's going to make it up. We're already down to about 8.5 miles per hour. Usually not the best sign on this. Doesn't feel bad by any means, but got pretty big tires, somewhat heavyish bike. We'll see if it's got enough low end torque to get us up. So down to 6. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna really test it here. 5. Hopefully it's not a countdown. 4. Oh, we're counting down 3. 2.5. 2. 1. I'm not having to swerve too much, so I'll keep going maybe for a second. Wow, I did not think it would keep going right now. This is kind of a little bizarre. We're obviously not moving 0 miles per hour like it shows, and I'm able to hold it fairly steady, so I don't feel like it'd be fair to call the test. If this makes it up, it's probably going to be in the running for slowest we've ever had, but kudos if it actually makes it up. Okay, so through this next section, I'm going to kind of be quiet and let you hear the motor and go from there. We'll see if it makes it up this section. My money's no. So you can hear that grunt through here. A little bizarre that it's actually keep pushing me through this. Definitely have to keep my head up and my balance, but it's not actually crazy. So this actually might make it up the hill. Yeah, so you hear it on the motor, how it does, you know, it'll get a little louder as you're moving faster and it's turning. And as we got down really to where it was, you know, going pretty slow, you could kind of hear it just kind of grunting is, you know, best ways I can describe it. But ladies and gentlemen, I think we're gonna make it up this test, up this hill. So very curious to see what the score is. This is not too bad through this section. It was just really through those steeper points that it slowed down. But yeah, congrats to this bike. It actually made it up. So let's see what the results are. Okay, we're back here on the KBO now with the pedal test, and I'm expecting it to have a better result. Right now I'm riding in 6th gear and it's climbing fairly well. So we'll see how it goes through this first section. Shift down a little bit. At about 10 miles an hour through there, 9. Again, rear hub motors, I'm usually able just to really soft pedal this kind of through. And as you can tell in my voice as well, like I don't have to put much effort into it. So for now, I would say it's climbing better than it did on throttle, which again is to be expected to some degree. I'll let you listen to this motor through this next section, especially all these people walking down so I don't annoy them. You can hear for yourself. So yeah, did fairly well. We got down right at the high 7 miles per hour. You can hear the motor. Sounds kind of like your average rear hub. Gets a little louder if you pedal faster. Out through hills gets a little bit, quieter as it's working up through it. But decent sound. I think the results are going to be fairly decent on this one. And overall, yeah, you'll definitely be able to climb hellhole on this KBO.
Hey, the good news on the throttle-only hill test was the Oasis made it to the top. But it barely had enough power at one point on the throttle test and even looked like it was going to stop. But it managed to keep chugging and reach the top. The Oasis has the distinction of being the slowest e-bike to conquer the Hellhole Trail in EBR's throttle-only hill test, with its time of 2 minutes and 56 seconds and average speed of 6.2 miles per hour. But hey, at least it made it. In the second test, with Justin pedaling and using PAS 5, that's the maximum PAS, the Oasis made it all the way in a time of 1 minute 32 seconds and an average speed of 11.8 miles per hour. So even though cruisers aren't known as hill crunchers, this KBO cruiser topped Hellhole both times, which is a notable accomplishment. For future Oasis models, we recommend KBO change the programming to give the throttle a little more power to get us up the hills. But it's pretty cool that a relatively affordable e-bike like this showed no quit and got us up the hill. It should give riders in the hillier cities of the world some confidence knowing that with a little leg power, you can climb up most any city street too. Our last test here answers the question, how does this bike feel when riding it? So let's take the Oasis for a ride. Here we go. Talking about the ride quality, KBO Oasis. It's a cruiser bike, so the style of frame gives the rider a upright posture. My back is almost vertical. Also the mustache handlebar, this shape design, you can see the grips come closer to me, easier to reach. And you can adjust this handlebar with the adjustable stem here, pivot it forward and back like that, and it helps raise it and lower it a little bit. The frame, since it's a cruiser frame, the effective top tube length here is a little bit longer than what you find on other bikes, and that's designed to give you that comfortable cruiser posture and ride. So the pedals are a little bit more forward than what you find on other bikes, and that's a takeaway from the Dutch style bikes. This is not a Dutch style bike, but it's close as a cruiser. Some differences. Suspension, it's got a rigid front fork and no rear shock, so there's really no effective suspension on this bike. Handling the bumps are the tires, 26-inch by 3-inch, and they do the best they can to soak up the bumps, but really this is made for flat pavement bike paths like this. Keep away from snow, mud, ice, those kind of things. And that's because the tread on these tires are road tread. Now they're great for riding on pavement like this, and I like the way they handle going into the turns when I'm going around curves. But you got to know the limitations, so watch out for that. It's for pavement only, dry pavement. The seat is comfy. 11 inches wide, that's wider than what you normally find on seats. More typical for a cruiser though, and it's got good padded cushioning. And the motor, talked a little bit about the engagement issues on it. I'm riding it in PAS 3 right now, and this rides fine in PAS 3, but wasn't happy with PAS 1 or 2. But we all have our own tastes, don't we? So those are some notes about the KBO Oasis. As you can see, the Oasis rides pretty well as a budget cruiser if you're using the top 3 PAS levels. Most of us have our own ride expectations that shape what we expect from a bike. The slow speeds in PAS 1 and 2 might be fine for riders who like to keep their speed to around 9 to 11 miles per hour. Putting speed aside, I have to again say that the Oasis was comfortable to ride. And I've ridden a lot of e-bikes for the Electric Bike Report, including cruisers. Last word on this, I think the motor can be pretty fun, but it isn't always the most predictable. Sometimes it kicks in quickly and other times slowly. It's not uncommon for a bike like this on the affordable side to have a thing or two to improve upon. So hopefully the engagement gets a bit more dialed in down the road so riders can have a more consistent ride. Okay, here's the wrap on the KBO Oasis. It definitely has the stylish look and feel of a cruiser e-bike. Its design catches people's attention and it turned some heads when I rode it around town. How well will this bike hold up in 6 months or a year from now? Well, we can't say. Aside from the Shimano drivetrain, most of the parts on this bike are generic, meaning we don't have anything to compare it to for quality and longevity. Now that's not necessarily a bad thing, that just means it's a mystery. In the meantime, if your riding needs are simple and you're just looking for a no-frills cruiser e-bike for casual rides around town, then this might be a good bike for you. So I hope you found this video helpful, and if you want to learn more about the Oasis or other KBO bikes, then please click the link below. And please remember to click like and subscribe. It helps us reach more people who are interested in electric bikes, and it helps us get more people to ride instead of drive. Also be sure to click the link to our in-depth written review. It has the details I mentioned today, plus a lot of other important stuff. So that's it. I'm Forrest with the Electric Bike Report. Thank you for watching our review of the KBO Oasis. In the meantime, please keep it safe and I'll see you next time.